Hey, ladies and gentlemen, it's May 15th, 2018, and we're back on our regular Tailosive Tech Tuesday. How's people doing today? I've got the squeaky chair. How are people? Man, there's been iPhone leaks through the roof. I think I normally don't upload on Tuesdays, but I might have to today because not only is it's not a bunch of changes coming to one iPhone, it's just there's a bunch of iPhones coming out like all this year because now they're saying there's not going to be an SE2 and a regular SE. There's going to be a cheap one with a 4-inch screen, but there's also going to be the iPhone SE with a notch. But that's now supposedly delayed till September, so that won't be coming out for a while. Like my God, it is just so many iPhones coming out, and the 6.1-inch ones are rumored to be very, very different colors than the regular iPhone 10. So I think those are going to be like the luxurious colors, like space gray, silver, and blush gold. And then the 6.1-inch LCD iPhone, that one's going to be like yellow, pink, blue, green, like the iPhone 5C. At least that's what rumors are saying. Anyway, Kieran Dial, hey, thanks for super chatting, as well as Krista White. Thank you very much for the super chat. Thank God Google Assistant is here. Oh, yes, Google Assistant's in the chat, of course, answering all my phone calls. The 10 Plus looks weird, to be honest. Well, don't worry, don't buy it. It's definitely not for everyone. I think, in fact, this year especially, most people probably aren't going to be investing in the Plus model. It's going to be a little bit too overkill. That's what I'm predicting. I'm predicting for the last couple of years, actually, with the exception of the iPhone 8, but the iPhone 10 kind of threw everyone off. But with the iPhone 7 more people bought the Plus model, which originally when the 6 Plus came out, everyone was like, no, I can't buy that. That's more expensive and I don't need a big phone. I'm fine with the 6. But I think this year we're going to go back to the regular sized iPhone 10, the 5.8 inch one. That one's probably going to sell better than the Plus because the Plus is going to cost more money, probably be too overwhelming for people. The reports are saying it's going to have the very similar form factor to this, which supports our dummy model rumors at the 6.5-inch display. So yeah, it's going to be interesting. Bingo Cat says you're the guy who made actually somewhat like Apple. The guy who made actually somewhat like Apple. I think you meant to say made you somewhat like Apple, which I'm glad to hear. I just hope that at the channel we can kind of challenge your beliefs, not convert you. My goal isn't to get everyone to switch to an iPhone, get everyone to switch to Mac OS. It's really just I think we had a very large bias against Apple here on YouTube, and I just thought I'd take the devil's advocate, try to argue the other side, just so we're not blindly hating the people who. Oh, my export finished, but that's for Tailosive Talk, so I'm gonna close that anyway. But thank you, Bingo Cat, for the super chat. I appreciate it very much. OMG Nexus says hi. Nexus is in the chat. I miss your smartphones. I miss them so much. The girl that needs that's been noticed says all the iPhones are coming out, every single one. If you can dream it, there's a rumor or leak confirming it. Yeah, I wonder if that's Apple. Does anyone else agree with me on that? Does anyone else think am I crazy conspiracy theorist, or does anyone else realize it may be possible that Apple is so fed up with leaks and rumors that they're literally just flooding the market with as many leaks and rumors as possible to just try to throw everyone else off? I think that's very possible at this point. You're kind of right. If you can imagine an iPhone, there's probably a leak supporting it. Like next iPhone to have headphone jack, next iPhone to have USB-C. You'll probably find an article that says that's possible. Derek Schubert says favorite Apple feature non-hardware related, easily AirDrop. There's not a lot of features that convince me to that make it very, very hard to switch. The fact that I can not just AirDrop files from iPhone to iPhone and iPhone to iPad, whether or not there's Wi-Fi or not, but being able to AirDrop them to my iMac and being able to edit them with Final Cut. Like even if you found some AirDrop clone, I'm sure some of you guys have found third-party AirDrop clones. Not even to mention that you'd have to install those AirDrops built into all Apple products easily. And it's just built into the share button. You don't have to go download something. The fact that even if there is a clone on Android and Windows, that if you're editing on Windows 10, you're still limited to Adobe Premiere or DaVinci or something that's not going to be as efficient. It's not going to allow you to export edit raw files as smoothly, as fast as Final Cut can, because it's just built for Macs. And Microsoft doesn't have like a pro Dinu for tied for top super chatters of today's live stream, both tied for $10. So I have to pay respect to both Dylan and Dinu. Dylan says iPhone 10 Plus. I'm getting one. I'm excited for it. Thank you for the super chat. Not a question, but I'm very grateful. And then Dinu says, hi, big fan of your videos. I have 2 questions. Should I upgrade from a MacBook Pro 2016 13-inch touch bar to the upcoming 2018 model? And if I have an iPhone 10, should I upgrade to the 10 Plus? It depends on how your current tech is treating you. Like, are you the kind of person who needs to have the new thing every year? That, because I'll spoil the keynote for you. The 2018 model's faster. It's going to have potentially a quad core, which will easily be much faster. It'll have some improvements. But is your 2016 13-inch touch bar, is it doing okay? If it is, maybe you don't need to upgrade it. If it's doing what you need it to, why spend extra money? Maybe you're one of the people who are suffering with the keyboard issues, with the keys getting stuck. So maybe if that's a problem, maybe they hopefully address it in the 2018 version. So if that's a running issue, then yeah, upgrade. Or the 10 Plus, that's going to be a big change. That's a very large display increase from almost a full inch on that iPhone 10 5.8 to iPhone 10 Plus at 6.5. That's a big screen to carry around in your pocket. I'd recommend you try it out when it comes out at an Apple store or something. I don't think everyone needs to. I don't think it's like you must upgrade, but yeah, if it's holding out fine, then no, don't upgrade. But if you definitely are noticing some lag, you can afford to fix that problem, definitely consider it. What do you think will happen first? Your channel hitting 100,000 subscribers or Apple being worth $1 trillion? Is that rumored to happen, Lucas? Thank you, by the way, for the donation. Lucas, is that rumored to happen in the next month? I haven't kept up. I haven't kept up on when Apple's hitting $1 trillion. Can I Google that? Is Google that smart? When will Apple hit $1 trillion? See if they have an answer to that. Okay, they don't have an instant solution, but we're rumored to hit 100,000 subscribers in June, just next month. They're at 940 billion right now. So I'd say we'll probably hit 100,000 first. But either way, looking forward to exciting things. Favorite iPhone design besides the 10? Product Red 8 Plus is pretty cool. I mean, even Steve Jobs, was not like a dwelling on the past kind of guy. Like he always was about the future, about the product that's the newest was the best one. So like when people ask me favorite iPhone design, I'm always like the newest one. The newest one looks better than any of the ones previously. I'm not the kind of person who's like, I like the iPhone 4. I miss those days. It's like, no, it's just the newest one. I want to use that one. It typically is newer for a reason and is better for a reason, and that's why people are buying the new ones. Anyway, thank you, total awesomeness. Francisco says, do you hate Pixel because it's a threat to iPhone? No, absolutely not. Like there's plenty of Android phones I like that are easily a threat to iPhone. OnePlus I like, which is a threat to iPhone. Essential I like, which is a threat to iPhone. I have respect for Samsung for what their hardware is able to pull off, but after the S9, I really don't care for the software. So I don't hate them. I just really don't care for their products individually, even though it's a threat to iPhones. I don't like Pixel because it's charging premium price for something that shouldn't be premiumly priced. People aren't going to agree with me on this, but I think Apple products are priced fairly. I think they're worth what people pay for them. They're worth what Apple asks for them. I don't think the Pixel is worth it. I think you can get better hardware with a similar experience for a cheaper price. And I don't like that Google has this platform they've developed that's like anyone can alter the operating system, anyone can edit their skin, and then all the carriers and all the individual third-party hardware companies ruin the software, make it unusable. So then they're like, well, actually buy our hardware, but then their hardware is missing out on very normal things for phones that cost $850 to include, like headphones or wireless charging or the latest CPU. If you're the flagship Android phone, if Google's supposedly making the primary go-to Android device, this is how Android's supposed to be used, then why does it always have last year's CPU? Why does it come out after everyone else's? Because now we have the LG G7, which has the Snapdragon 845. We have the Galaxy S9, which has the Snapdragon 845. Pixel 2 is still stuck with the 835, meaning you can't do 4K at 60. You can't do wireless charging because they wanted to have a plastic back, but make it metal enforced. So not that Apple was quick to adopt wireless charging. I completely understand that Apple was late to that game as well. I'm just saying Google's even later. So if you think it's bad that Apple was late to the wireless charging game, which I think it is, they could have adopted it sooner. They could have adopted it on the iPhone 7 and I would have used it. So that's what kills me about the Pixel, is that it complicates everything. It's like, you want the best software? Well, you can't get the best hardware. If Google Pixel lineup actually had the best hardware with the most hardware features, then it would be the best Android smartphone. The problem is it's lacking in so many aspects that no matter what Android phone you buy, it's a compromise. You're buying a Galaxy phone, you're getting good hardware, but you're compromising on software. You buy a Pixel, you're compromising on hardware, but you're getting good software. You can't win. Everything, you're losing something. Anyway, Jacob Gorley, which is our new leader temporarily for highest super chat, says, love your channel. I'm most excited for MacBooks and iPads. When do you think we'll be able to wirelessly charge iPhones anywhere in the house while walking around? So the technology, be very clear. Let me make myself clear. The tech to charge over the air exists, and it's existed for a long, long time. It's existed for decades. The trick that companies are trying to work on is making it safe. By the way, thank you, Jacob, for the donation. That was very generous of you. The problem with wireless charging is that it is dangerous because you're sending a lot of electrically charged waves through the air, and that can hurt people. So I don't want people being like, oh, if there was wireless charging across the room, you'd all get cancer. No, if it gave us cancer, we didn't care, then we'd already be using it, because the technology to send a charge across the room, it can already be done. That's not new. The trick is how to do that without hurting anyone. As in, when this technology becomes available, and I think it will be in the next 10 to 20 years, it's not like super easy to do, because if it was, then we would all be doing it. And I think we have companies with lots and lots of money investing in how to do this. And I think they want to get to that, but it's still not there yet. But at the same time, I want people to be clear. When it is ready and when companies do start selling over-the-air charging, it will be because they found a way to do it safely. Don't see that product release and go, oh, we're all going to die. It's like, no, we can already do it if we don't care about safety. These things have to be approved by the FCC. We can't even get air power out yet because it gets too hot. So I imagine charging across the air isn't in the near future, not like next couple years, but probably within the next 10 to 20. All right, that's what I can imagine. Daniel Curry says, since subscribing in September, you've convinced me to get the iPhone 10, Apple Watch Series 3, HomePod, iPad, Apple TV 4K, and my family all with 8 pluses. My goodness, Daniel, I'm sorry. Your family's probably bankrupt because of me. I better stop. I better give up. I hope they like them. That's all I can hope for. My goal is to not sell as many iPhones as possible. It doesn't benefit me personally. If you use an iPhone or an Android, it doesn't matter. I'm not Apple. But all I do on this channel is tell people what I like to use, and I hope you like it too. If you don't like it, don't use it. It's that simple. But yeah, thanks for letting me know that you guys are enjoying it, hopefully. And wow, we've got a new record for this for today's live stream. Lucas Van Husson, I'm sorry. I'm probably messing it up. I really like your channel. Thank you for convincing me to get an iPhone 10. I love it. Keep up the great work. Good luck for your channel. Should I get an Apple Watch 4 stainless steel or a new iPhone in fall? I have Series 2. So here's the thing about the Series 4. It's probably not going to be very functionally different than the Series 3. So you don't have the Series 3. You probably, the cellular mode is cool, but it's probably not as big of a change a new iPhone in the fall will be, because there's a lot of changes to the lineup coming this fall. So we have the 10 Plus, rumored the SE 10 or whatever. Don't try to spell that. I know it spells this. You guys are very creative, very funny. basically the Edge bezel-less display on the iPhone SE. That's coming out, the 6.1-inch budget iPhone with like a LCD display instead of OLED, and it's cheaper with its different colors. Also with the regular 4-inch SE, there's a bunch of iPhones coming out, and I think that's going to change your day-to-day a lot more than the Series 4. The Series 4 will look really cool. That's why I'll be getting one, is partially because I'm a tech reviewer and you guys expect me to try this stuff and review it. But I'm anticipating on getting a Series 4 just for reviewing, but I'm also anticipating that it will be mostly a design change. It's not going to be primarily it won't be primarily about new functions. Chris E refresh. If that didn't happen at all, it would be like, oh. I think it would be crazy to have no iPads. That would definitely be disappointing because we got our new iPad Pros at WWDC last year, and then yeah, we got those last year, and then this year we've gotten a lot of hype about Face ID and no home button on the next gen iPad. So why wouldn't they adopt it right now? You know, so yeah, I I'm I, lots of things could be disappointing. I think Apple's known for being disappointing to most people. They're just kind of known for being like iOS 12 doesn't have dark mode, therefore I'm disappointed. So there'll be plenty of things people are disappointed by. Um, so I probably am not hyping it beyond belief because like I just want a new iPad. That's my primary focus. The new iMac would be cool. So I'm getting lots of stuff from WWDC, but I'm not like nothing. I think more than anyone is expecting. I'm not expecting like the iPhone 10 in product red to come out or anything like that. So anyway, Ricky Gomez super chatted says iPhone 6s /6s Plus worth recommending in 2018. Want to switch over from Android. I would recommend getting them refurbished because if you're getting a 6s, it's an older phone, so you're kind of pushing it. But I believe if you go to the Apple Store app, if I'm looking correctly here, if you go over the iPhone tab and scroll down to certified refurbished, you could probably find some 6S's for fairly cheap. These are all 7s. Do they not sell refurbished 6S's? Maybe they don't. So I would kind of recommend you get it used, given that even from Apple, while it is cheaper, it's not going to be like super cheap. What does a 6S start at now from Apple? Because they're still selling them $450. It's kind of budget, $550 for the 6S Plus. I think if you can get a good deal on it, if you can save a lot of money on it, go for it. But definitely don't pay too much for them. I think Apple personally charges a little too much for them, in my opinion. But I wouldn't buy one in 2018 because I got new ones. And holy heck, we hit 300 people watching. Thanks, guys. Wow, thanks for getting us there. It looks like the YouTube notification system's working today. And thank you, Ricky, for the super chat. We got a huge super chat from Clash of Magic. I'll get into that in just a second. David Adams says, thoughts on Tesla lineup, autopilot the future? I think Elon Musk is right about what he says in regards to autopilot because there's been people who have used it and crashed. And he said that it's never going to be perfect. It's never going to be zero in terms of tragedies that can occur. But autopilot and the safety features implemented in Teslas have made them the safest car in America. And I don't think enough people report on that. Usually in the reports when autopilot crashes, everyone's like, Tesla driver dies. Oh my God. It's like, you realize that every other car company, like people die every day and it's normal. They don't report on that because who cares? But suddenly when the, excuse me, when the safest car company in the world has a car crash and someone dies, now suddenly that's all different. Now everything's changed. So I think they're great. My dream car is still a Tesla. If I could have a car, it'd be a Tesla. But I'm fine with my little Hyundai Sonata. It's doing fine. It was a cheap car, really, really affordable, and great mileage. It's handled my trip to San Francisco and back just fine. So I'm satisfied with it. I don't have the kind of money right now to afford a Tesla, and I'm probably not going to be able to afford a Tesla for a long time because all the money I make, all the money you guys are super chatting and donating and all that, it goes right back into the business. It goes right back into the Tailosive network. None of this I just pocket and spend on fancy things. I skip meals fairly often too. So it's not like I have a bunch of spare money and I'm going to save up and buy a Tesla, because it wouldn't change my life that much, but still, really cool car. Someone in the chat is translating. They're saying that's around $37. So I guess we have a new winner. So we have a new biggest donation. So thank you very much. Says, I got 10 and a Pixel 2 XL. The i10 have a lot of bugs, glitches. A game starts to lag when you put the 10 to 0 brightness, but will be buttery smooth after increasing brightness or start screen recording. Pixel have less bugs. This is why I like it more. Okay, well, I'm glad it's working for you. I've never heard of that glitch with the brightness, so I guess that's unique to me. The difference is, though, I think there's a lot less apps on the Play Store. So if you want to talk about good games or about gameplay, you're getting a faster CPU, you're getting a better app market on your iPhone 10. I'm sorry it was having glitches for you. It's frustrating. I haven't had that, but and I think most people haven't had that. That's why the iPhone 10 is selling a lot better than the Pixel 2. But thank you for the donation. First of all, you have a Snapdragon 835, which means that there's already other Android phones with better performance. But yeah, the iPhone 10 with that A11 chip has killer performance. It slaughters the Pixel 2 CPU. So the games, at least for most people, I think should run better. And the iOS App Store has a lot more games on it and a lot better games, in my opinion. Usually on Android, they have to riddle it with ads because they know no one on the Play Store is going to pay for it. But yeah, I'm sorry that it was glitching out for you. I hope that goes away. Admit it, Pixel has better camera than the iPhone 10. No, it doesn't. You want to zoom in on something? You can't. You want to film 4K at 60? You can't. You want to film a portrait shot? Everything's wide angle. Just DxOMark giving it a high score does not confirm anything. But photographers know that when you're taking things with narrow depth of field, you don't want it to be a wide angle unless it's macro shots. If you want, like, if you want to zoom in on something really, really close like this, but when you're taking portraits of people, like think of senior portraits, think of wedding pictures, they're not ultra wide angle. And yet on the Pixel, you're limited to that one lens. Personal preference, according to DxOMark, are better than the Pixel 2. So it's not just me. On top of that, I like vlogging. I like vlogging at 4K at 60. Pixel 2 can't do that. Even if I had an S9, I can only record for 5 minutes and then the footage stops because the CPU is too slow. So no, you can't just say objectively it's better. It's completely personal preference. Completely. If you like to take photos and like zoom in on the saturation levels that no one's going to notice, it doesn't. No, it doesn't. It's completely subjective. It's all based on personal preference. But I am referring to photographers' point of view, people who take pictures. And I know that having a telephoto lens on your iPhone is going to make your portrait shots look more legit because not all portrait shots are wide angle. In the Pixel, you only have one option. Options is better, right? I thought Android was about options. So why take them away? Drew, skipping meals is not okay and very unhealthy. Please use this money to get yourself a good meal. Have a nice day. Thank you, Lucas. That's very grateful of you. Vlogging on 60 FPS. Yeah, no one vlogs in 60 FPS. Why else would we film on that? Let's see. Have you seen the videos on the LumaForge channel? They are promoting it. No, I haven't. I've never heard of that. Sorry. I guess I'll have to check that out later. The cheapest Model S is the 75D, which is $99,000 in Canada. Well, that's why they're making the Model 3. They want to make them cheaper. I can't afford a $75,000 car or a $100,000 car. I can't afford a $35,000 car. You guys must think I make a lot more than I do. But has your mind changed on 3D printers / laser cutters? Not really. I think they're cool. They're helpful for manufacturing and they're helpful for robotics, but they're not going to be like an everyday household item. The process of printing a 3D part or 3D toy or something for an everyday person still takes longer or is still more complicated than just driving to the store and buying it. It's going to be useful for engineers and manufacturing and stuff like that. But in terms of every household having one, no, it's not happening. I don't see it happening. They've been saying it's going to happen ever since 3D printers come out, and it still hasn't happened. I don't own one. I don't have a need for one. I'm not just sitting here and being like, you know what? I wish I had a 3D printed gear. Like, no one's just sitting there thinking that. But someone in manufacturing, someone who's inventing and building stuff, that's useful. Lightning God super chatted says, will Apple have issues replacing the 2017 iPhone 10 screens considering the new lineup / manufacturing? Jump from the Note 8 and love it. iPhone 10 256 gig. Great. I'm glad it's working for someone. Yeah, the Note 8 was quite expensive too. I don't think they'll have issues replacing it because Apple still services iPhones that they keep selling. So like you can still replace the battery and you can replace stuff in your iPhone 7 and your 6S. So even though they may stop selling the 2017 iPhone 10 because the 2018 iPhone 10 will replace it because it'll be a little bit cheaper and better spec-wise. So they'll just discontinue this year's iPhone 10. I think they'll probably still service it. Like I've heard stories of people say like, they don't sell the product red iPhone 7 anymore. That was a limited edition. You can't get it. But a friend of mine not Xander, don't worry. A friend of mine broke their iPhone 7 Plus product red, and they had Apple Care, so they wanted a replacement. They took it to the Apple Store after the product red had been discontinued, and they still got a brand new one. As in, like, Apple had product red 7 Pluses. They're not selling them anymore, but they saved them for replacements and stuff like that. Counting down till the days you hit 100K. It'll be fun. It'll be exciting to be like, yay, we finally did it. I'll make a video about it, of course. But like, nothing changes. I guess I can apply for a verified check mark. I can ask for a play button, but the play button probably won't get here for 9 years because most YouTubers who order their play button don't get them for way later. So, yeah, it'll be fun. It'll be like a significant achievement, but yeah, in terms of video content and stuff like that, not much is going to change. Is the iPhone SE outdated? Yes, it's in desperate need of an update. It's 2 years old. And yeah, it's already getting kind of dated. Doesn't it have like an A9 chip? Yeah. What do you think about the OnePlus 6? I've been thinking about making a video about it because a lot of people have, but usually when I talk about OnePlus on this channel, no one really cares because obviously we're more Apple biased. But yeah, it looks interesting. It makes the lineup even more confusing because it's like, oh, now you can get all that hardware in something this much. Why buy all that other stuff? Why buy Samsung? It's like that's the funny thing about Android is since there's a new phone coming out every 2 months, then every 2 months your purchase now feels irrelevant. It's like, oh, well, I bought the S9, but now I could have got the OnePlus 6 for much cheaper and had all the same stuff. Great. So yeah, it's just like constantly reminding you what you could have gone with Android. Yeah. Xander is becoming like Brad 1 and 2, isn't he? He likes it though, and I hope you guys like it too. Will iPhone 5S get iOS 12? There's some people saying that it will. There's some reports or some leak in code that's saying like that they're finding routes to say that iOS 12 will work on 5S, but I'm not going to hold out on that. If it doesn't, I'll be like, well, we got our hopes up too much. But it'd be really cool if it did. If an iPhone got 6 years of support, that would be insane. I believe we're caught up on super chats for the people who are asking. It's not showing up on my end. I apologize if there's a new one. I love Google Pixel XL because Google services. What does that say? Google services work better than iPhone 10. My complaint with that is all Google services basically work on iPhone. Google Drive, Google Photos, YouTube. I love all that stuff. Gmail. I read the new Google News app that they launched at I/O can now be used on the iPhone as well. Which is why a lot of people, this is probably the most common situation, they buy Apple hardware and then use Google services because Google services are on iOS. Whereas if you buy an Android, you're not getting Apple hardware, and that's why you get the slower CPUs and you get less features and stuff like that. If you want to know what the next Pixel is going to be like, just look at last year's iPhone. So the Pixel 3 is probably going to be the most like the 2017 iPhone 10. But keep in mind, the Pixel 3 will be coming out after the new iPhones because it comes out in October. Sir HCX Indy says, if you could use your Apple Watch with the S9 and it worked flawlessly, would you give up your iPhone? No. You need, Indy, thank you for the donation, but you clearly haven't seen my S9 review. I don't like that phone. It's not about the ecosystem either. In fact, I think I made it a point in my Galaxy S9 review that I complained about all of the problems that phone has and all the reasons I don't like that phone without mentioning the ecosystem once. All of my issues with the S9 weren't about AirPods or no Apple Watch or no AirDrop. It's all about how the hardware on there was not thought out. It was all just Samsung, rushed to the last minute, get this out on the market, don't perfect it, don't think about it, just make sure it's on the phone, but we're not even sure if it's going to work right or if it's going to work in most conditions. There's 3 different ways to unlock your phone on an S9. That's a lot of options, and none of them work perfectly. All of them somehow are less functional than just one Face ID. Face unlock doesn't work in the dark. Iris scanning doesn't. Potentially dangerous to your eyes. You got to take your glasses off. Fingerprint sensors on the back, even though they have wireless charging. So they're encouraging you to put it on a Qi charger, but if you use Touch ID unlocked fingerprint scanner, then you have to pick it up and rest it on the back. There's a problem with it unlocks and goes straight to the home screen, which is anti-lock screen. So you change it the other way, it won't start looking for your face until you swipe up. Apple somehow got it just right so that as soon as the screen turns on, it starts looking for your face. Then it tells you if it's unlocked. That way you can still read your texts, but when you're ready to turn on the phone, you can just swipe up. It's that easy. They actually thought about it. Rainer is super chatting with no comments. Thank you. I'm not seeing if you commented, but I appreciate it. Thank you. What would you call your own phone? I do have a whole concept and lineup of ecosystem of entire tech products if I started my own tech company, but I'm very far away from being able to do that. So, what do you think of the Honor 10? It has a fingerprint sensor on the front, which seems to be something you complain about a lot. When do I complain about that? Oh, you mean like I complain that fingerprints are on the back? Because yeah, the front of the phone is the best place to have the fingerprint reader. That's for sure. Like it's finally cool that these Vivo phones are coming out with fingerprint readers underneath the display. It's just that they, everything else about them sucks usually, and that's the only thing we focus on. They're like, here's the Vivo X21. It has a fingerprint reader under the display. How are the pictures? How's the performance? What is it charged with? They won't tell us. They're just like, no, ignore the rest of the phone. Ignore the hardware. Ignore the build quality. Ignore the CPU. Just focus on this one thing we got right. So it's like, yeah, I wonder why they're not adopting it on the S9. Or probably not the Pixel 3. It'd be cool if they did, though. What are some things that you dislike about Apple? Marketing, 2018 iPad, the book. I don't like the naming. I don't like, I think the iPhone 10 was too cheap. I don't like the pricing there. Right. We know the S9 is the best, and he knows too, but he hates it because he's acting as an Apple sheep. Yes, because I have something to gain from buying a phone, losing money on it, and telling everyone that I don't like it after switching to it wholeheartedly. Unlike many tech YouTubers who buy the phone and just kind of use it, but they still have an iPhone in their pocket the whole time. So they don't know what it's like to stop using their primary driver. They buy the S9, they test the camera, and then they put it away. And that's considered a review. Unlike me, who buys the S9, stops using my iPhone, takes the SIM card out. I only have one SIM card. I don't think the S9 is the best. I don't. And it's. I have nothing to gain from that. What do I have to gain from lying to you? Why should I make myself like something that like alerts on? Oh, time to wake up. Oh, my phone's not unlocking. Oh, right, gotcha. Oh, let me like, I put my iPhone right here and I tap the display. It unlocks when it looks at my face and I can read my messages. Let me get an S9, put it here. Oh wait, I can't see it. It can't see me. Iris scanning. Too far away. There, now it works. Am I just lying about this, or do you want feedback? Like, do you want feedback on something that's not designed correctly, or do you just want me to tell you exactly what everyone else is telling you? If you want me to say exactly what everyone else is saying, which I don't think they're actually trying, because there's a reason there's an iPhone 10 in everyone's pocket. There's a reason people are going with that, and it's not because of the logo. Do you think new AirPods will be announced at WWDC? Red Talks, etc. If AirPower comes out, obviously, I think the new wireless charging AirPods will as well, because the technology for smaller inductive charging is already inside the Series 3. So I'm sure embedding it in the new AirPods case. But the AirPods themselves, I don't think are going to change. I think it's just the charge cage. SE2 rumors about having it like the iPhone 10 screen cannot be true, as an LCD screen needs a chin. That's what they're saying, Michael. They're saying the SE2 will have an OLED display, which is even more crazy. Is this hypothetical situation, would you support this imaginary company that happens to have the same name as the current company you appreciate? What are you talking about? Would you support the imaginary company that happens to have the same name as the current company? Like, no, like if Samsung's name was Apple and Apple's name was Samsung, it wouldn't change anything. No, I wouldn't be then biased towards Samsung. There's nothing magical about the name Apple. I think Apple's kind of weird now, especially given it's just a fruit name for an electronics company. Let's see. John says, I bought the S9 Plus and it was like $1,200 in the UK, and I hated it. It felt cheap and the security is so bad. Good. Okay, there's more people. I'm sorry you didn't like it. I don't mean good you didn't like it. I just mean like I'm not alone here, and I don't think I'm the only I don't think I'm the only person to not like a phone. There's plenty of people I think that had issues with it. Wifey and I still use the SE. It works great until Apple kills it off. We're going to use it. Yeah, my sister still uses the SE, and she's still enjoying it. She loves it. Does what she needs it to. And I think the SE is completely swept under the rug when everyone keeps talking about how expensive Apple products are. Or it's like Apple charges $1,000 for their phone. It's like one phone. One model costs over $1,000. The rest are under. In fact, one of them's $350. What does the Pixel start at? $650? Oh, but Drew, the older Pixel starts. Oh, wait, they stopped selling that. Let me go to the Google store real quick. Let's see what we find. Shop Pixel starting at $650 for something with those big old bezels. Let's go to the Apple store. iPhone starting at $350. So who's the expensive ones here? Jimmy says, hey, Drew, I've been watching you for a while now, but was never able to get you live. Keep up the good work. Thank you, Jimmy. That's very gracious of you. Thank you. Let's see. When will micro LED come to the market? I've heard that it's a bit more delayed than we thought. Like some people were thinking that micro LED was coming to the Apple Watch Series 4. It turns out it might not be. Maybe it's a bit more far off than we realized, but I still think that the design would be a bit different. Okay. All right. Let me address this. You must accept that also the 10 isn't the best. I use the 10 in the 8 Plus, but I always come back to my S8 Plus, and I think it's better. So for my personal use, look, I'm acknowledging that not everyone needs to use the iPhone 10. I know that. My point is we all value different things from our products. We all have a bias. That's why I admit this. We all have a personal preference. I'm trying to acknowledge that with my channel. I'm not trying to be like unbiased, objective, like, buy what's best for you. It's like, because everyone's saying that. I think that should be a given. I don't make you buy anything. You buy it if you like it yourself. I don't affect that. My point is, clearly Apple is not, let's look at it this way. I get upset when people say it's dead or that Apple's doomed or that they're a joke, because clearly a lot of people favor what Apple prioritizes. Google has the best digital assistant with the Google Assistant, and they focus so much on stock Android on making their phones smart on the Pixel 2, and not as many people bought it. Okay, so if we look at the statistics, we look at the numbers of sales of people buying iPhone 10s that cost thousands of dollars, which, if anything, should be even more impressive that Apple can charge that much for a phone and it still becomes the most popular one. It shows that what Apple's prioritizing between build quality, software optimization, the OS is built to run on this. Even if there are glitches, some people are experiencing software bugs. I get that, but it's not enough for people to switch over to Android, where there is not as much a priority on getting those updates every year, on getting those bugs fixed. And that's why you see so many people still favoring Apple products. The primary reason, there's a big number of Androids outnumbering iOS in other countries, not in the primarily English-speaking countries. In most countries that aren't English-speaking, Android sells really well, is because it's cheap. It's not the S9 Plus, it's not the S8 Plus that's selling super well over there. It's the Galaxy J series. It's the Android phones that barely sell. And I don't consider purely, if we look at mass majority, if this one sells better, it is the best option. Like, Tesla is not the most popular car, but I still think it's the best car. So even though iPhone 10 in many aspects does outsell a lot of the competition, it can't be purely based on numbers. I'm not saying the iPhone 10 is best for everyone. I'm saying that it's wrong to act like the iPhone 10 is like not a player. A lot of YouTube channels seem to act like Apple is just this like knockoff, like they're dead, no one cares about Apple, forget Apple, it's all about Android. They just kind of glance them off. They kind of brush them off and act like they don't matter. They clearly do. They know what they're doing. They've captured a market. They know what they're doing. They are doing fine. In fact, they're doing better than everyone else. They made like more than Amazon's made in their whole life in 3 months. So, okay, let me try to understand this. If Drew, if iOS was on all Android phones and all iOS phones were running Android, would you still be biased towards Apple? The hypothetical is a paradox in itself, because the reason iOS is so reliable and so many people still stick with iOS is because it's optimized by Apple on iPhones. If you suddenly got rid of that and iOS couldn't be optimized by Apple and was on Android phones, then it would no longer be what iOS stands for, which is optimization. It's built for that phone. It's meant to run on that. You're getting updates every month, every other week. You're getting a new refresh every year. That's going to happen. With Samsung, you don't. With Android, it's always minor. It's never that big a change. So there's a reason people keep going back to this, and I don't think it's just because they like the Apple logo. I don't think that's it. But it doesn't have the headphone jack. Therefore, it sucks. Let's see. I'm planning to buy new MacBook Pro 15-inch. Should I because it's problem on keyboard? I think you mean should I be worried for the keyboard issues? You still have the year-long warranty. So I didn't really have many problems with my MacBook Pro. There were a couple of times the key would get sticky, but I could just push it and move it around and it would be fine. I don't think it makes the computer not worth it. I've never had it become unusable with the keyboard issues. They've been annoying at worst. But yeah, if it doesn't work out, just take it back to Apple. You'll be fine. I think for the most part, it'll work fine. What is your favorite TV company? Are we talking TV manufacturing? There's so many different ones that all TV companies kind of suck at their own built-in UI and stuff. Volume. Why are there so many buttons on these remotes? Why do they make them so complicated? What do we have? I don't even know. It's just I go for the cheap one that has the most pixels. I got a 4K one from Walmart. Looks great, runs great. That's all I need. I'm not I only buy Samsung TVs. I'm not. When it comes to TV hardware, I'm not very specific at all. I have used Android since the HTC Evo and Evo Shift. Had Nexus 5, Note 5, S8, iPhone 7 Plus, and iPhone 7, then the Note 8. The 10 convinced me to switch without looking back. Apple's done something right. Let's look at it that way. They've we all have personal preferences that idealize towards different things, right? We all have preferences. We all have things we want our phone to be good at. Apple clearly has picked the things that matter to a very large percentage of people. They found something that is equally cared about. That's how you get people like me. They're not paying me. I don't get anything for supporting Apple. I don't gain anything from that. This is literally just my opinion, me being brutally honest. iPhone needs a number row to be able to check battery status. If phone is off, most girl and women use iPhones as far as I can tell. Well, that's based on like what you're looking at. It's not actual statistic. But Nedax says, do you think Apple will ever get back into the standalone camera business like it did back in the 80s and 90s? Keep up the good work. I wish they would. That's another thing I know that like Apple won't make, but they really should make, is like a DSLR camera with AirDrop enabled into it or something like that. But yeah, I think Apple's always in pursuit of having less products. They want to have the minimal amount of products, and they're probably just going to say that the iPhone camera should be the Apple camera. They're probably not going to advise people to buy professional ones or DSLRs, or they're probably not going to look into that because they are just too keen on making the iPhone camera better and getting people to get used to that. But thank you for the donation. Thank you very much. E. Hirasawa says, you think Apple should remove analog watch faces since analog is outdated looking? Digital time is the way to go, and more reason to stick with a square Apple Watch. No. Apple is all about style, a lot about stylization. I know that sounds weird when you look at Android, but I think Apple would look at the Android UI and all of the skins and all the launchers you can get as not stylish. And Apple sells all these watch bands, and like Velcro, that's old. They shouldn't use Velcro. No, it's like they want you to have. It's actually kind of amazing how much customization you have on watchOS. The amount of watch faces you can alter and mess around with. And if you want to have that analog watch face, I think they're gonna keep it there, because they, like, Steve Jobs really cared about fonts. Something with like all the engineers were worried about how the computer software was operating and how the hardware was running. Steve Jobs wanted everyone to focus on how many fonts they could get into the into the Macintosh and stuff like that. So he was always kind of very much based on style. So I think they'll keep around the analog. Do you think Google Pixel 3 is going to have things like iPhone 10, like the notch, Face ID, wireless charging, dual cameras, and bezel-less screen? I do. I think, Adrian, you basically just listed what the Pixel 3 is going to be. It's going to have a notch because Android P is designing its UI to have a notch. So I think that's kind of on the nose, given Google prioritizes software for the Pixel line first. The Essential phone didn't need Android P to develop apps for a notch in them. How hard is that? Why do you need a built-in notch to design? Need to do that. They designed everything themselves. On top of that, if the Pixel 3 doesn't have wireless charging, that's mind-boggling to me how they're getting this far into the year and into the smartphone world and still thinking that they don't need inductive charging on a phone. Like, they removed the headphone jack, right? They're like, no, we should switch to wireless. But it's like, how about wireless charging? No. You use a port for that. Why not use a port for headphones? Why not include headphones? Pixel, you're charging full price. Other companies that are cheaper than you include headphones in the purchase. Come on, Google, come on. And then, yeah, I think inductive charging would make the most sense. I think they'd be kind of shooting themselves in the foot even further if they decide to keep having one lens. I think at this point, either Google has to adopt an ultra wide or a telephoto, something, because now budget phones have dual cameras. iPhones that are out, or iPhones that are outperforming them in every way, have dual cameras. They're making it now so that the Huawei P20 outscored them on DxOMark, the site that no one cared about until Google referred them to it for saying that you should trust these people when they say we have the best camera. So unless Google just pays DxOMark the most amount of money and somehow is able to get their one lens to outscore a P20 Pro with 3, then they're pretty much going to have to add a dual camera, and they're going to shoot themselves in the foot again. Dual camera, no need. Do you think the iPad Pro 10 will have a notch design and one bezel all the way around? You don't need a notch on an iPad because the notch is a small enough sensors, and the iPad's not going to have that thin a bezel around the edges because you need a place to hold your hands. So my guess is that it'll be one size bezel all the way around, with the bezels being about as thin as the sides of these, just all the way around. And you can fit the Face ID sensors in here, no problem, without a notch. You don't need a notch. Remember that version of the iPod Touch where they removed the camera? Yeah, that was weird. There was an iPod Touch that, like, for the sake of making it cheaper, it had a front-facing camera, but it didn't have a rear-facing camera. It was just blank on the back, and you could open the camera app and take selfies, but that was it. I have some reticence about the 10 aspect ratio. I want my vids at 16:9. How's your experience been, and what are your thoughts on this? So yeah, by default, your YouTube videos on the iPhone 10 will still play in 16:9. Like, you have to go out of your way to make the ratio larger. But yeah, that's one of the reasons I'm still using my 8 Plus. I'm not using the 10 right now, is that when you're watching content at 16:9, when it's zoomed out on the iPhone 10 in YouTube, it's like watching it on a smaller, like, iPhone 7, iPhone 8, not a Plus. Obviously, because the width of the phone hasn't changed. It's just gotten taller. So with the Plus, at least, I can watch videos in 16:9, and it's larger. It not only does it use every pixel, but it also, you're just holding a larger display, which is another reason I'm excited for the 10 Plus, because I could get both. Like, I don't think the 8 Plus is better than the 10. I'm just using it right now because I'm used to the size. I used the 10 for a long time. I wanted my friends to try out the iPhone 10, so I'm letting them borrow it. So yeah, I'm excited for the best of both worlds, where we can combine Face ID and the bezel-less design with this design in this size. So yeah, that'll be cool. Do you think we will see the iPad Mini 5? I'd be very surprised if we did, but there's 11 model numbers for iOS 11 devices. I don't know what they're going to be. It could be that. Do you think the 2018 iPhone might have a dual aperture lens or 3 cameras? It's rumored that the 2019 will. The 2019 iPhones will have triple cameras, but not this year. I don't think so. I think the 10 and the 10 Plus are both going to have very similar cameras. If there is some benefit to the 10 Plus's camera, it'll be fairly minor, I think. I heard it might have 4 cameras. Well, if you count the front, it already has 4 cameras, but yeah. Craig Federighi has said that the Mac Mini is likely to get a refresh. So that may happen. That may happen at Worldwide Developers Conference. It's possible. What are things that annoy you the most in iOS 11 and iOS in general right now? And what would you like to see in iOS one day in the future? That's the thing. iOS 11 has been a different experience depending on who you ask. Some people have absolutely hated it, and they want to, like, throw their iPhone against the wall. Other people have had no problems with it. Like, if I talk to Front Page Tech, like, he hates iOS so much and all the bugs on it that he can't use it. He just hates iPhones now. But I talked to iUpdateOS, Sam, and he says iOS 11 has been fine for him. He's really had, like, no glitches, no bugs, and I'm in the same boat. I really haven't had any software glitches, and I'm not kidding. I'm really not lying about that. Like, I'll call out Apple whenever they do something wrong. Believe me, like, when they made it so that third-party iPhone 8 Plus screen replacements didn't work with the iOS update, that was ridiculous. It's just, that book was stupid. Even if it was $20, I wouldn't have bought it, because it was not even the oldest Apple products and the newest Apple product. It was just a weird book. The iPhone naming scheme is god awful. The iPhone 8 should have been called the 7S. The 10 should have been called the Edition. It could have been so much more simple, and they keep complicating everything. I'll call out Apple whenever they do something wrong, but iOS 11 has worked fine. It's really worked fine for me, and I've had no issues with it. Of course I didn't get the book. Of course not. That thing is ridiculous. Nigel donated, says, in the Google press conference, they said that 1 in 3 iOS users use Wear OS. What do you think they mean? You're getting it backwards. 1 in 3 Wear OS users use iOS. It's not the other way around. The reason they changed the name from Android Wear to Wear OS was because they realized that, some few people buy Wear OS. It's actually like shockingly small how many people buy Android watches, that a third of them, 33% of the people buying them, were pairing them with iPhones, because you can actually do that. You can pair an Android Wear watch to the iPhone, because I think they need to get as many sales possible. Keep in mind, Apple Watch is the top selling smartwatch by far. You could combine the sales of every other smartwatch together, and it would not equate to the amount of Apple Watches that are being sold. And they only work with iPhones. You can't pair an Apple Watch to a Samsung or an Android, and yet it's still way through the roof. So yeah, they changed it to Wear OS because everyone buying them were pairing them with iPhones. And they were like, well, Android Wear doesn't make sense now. Why not include a fast charger in the box? I guess not that many people care, because the phones that have fast chargers included with the box aren't selling as well. As in, like, that's not a big deal for people. Maybe it's because you charge your phone when you go to sleep, and whether it finishes charging at 3 a.m. or 1 a.m. doesn't really matter, because most people, the battery lasts all day. They go to sleep, they plug it in. So fast charging, while cool, and while I agree it should have been included with the iPhone 10, it doesn't make a huge difference on sales. Like, it isn't a game changer for people. I think when you buy a phone, you should get headphones. I think that should be standard. And it's kind of crazy to me that the Pixel still doesn't include that for all the money they charge for it. Why will iPhone have 3 cameras? It helps. It helps with photography and videography. DxOMark agrees with the Huawei P20 Pro that having that 3rd camera really helped. Zooming, monochrome sensors for more megapixels, combining that with the colors it makes for rich photography. Though I was kind of confused about what Marquez said about it, because he was like, the P20 Pro has 3 cameras and it looks really sharp. Sometimes it's too sharp. In fact, it's so sharp that I don't like it, so I'm going to keep using the Pixel. And I was like, we can really twist anything any way we want, can we? Like, my point about smartphone cameras being all personal preference is never been so true, to the point that we get like the Pixel 2, it's the highest rated smartphone camera. Oh, by the way, now this new phone with 3 cameras, it's the highest rated. And then they go, yeah, but the pictures are too sharp. So now even when the pictures are really crispy, it's now a bad thing? So why are we liking the Pixel 2 camera still? Well, because it's not too sharp, it's not too soft, it's just right. And I'm like, okay, whatever. It's all personal preference. I don't think he's lying. No one's lying about their preferences. I'm not dissing. I'm just saying that, like, everything's so personal preference. He knows that. He knows that we shouldn't look at DxOMark. He made a whole video about that, about why you shouldn't just look at the DxOMark scores and agree that the highest one is the best. Because, like, he also agrees that's not true. But I definitely think after his video on the P20 Pro that you can basically twist any camera into saying it's the best. They're also similar in the first place, that it all comes down to just features for me. So it's like color, pictures. It's like, okay, they all look great. HDR mode, yes, it looks great. Colors look great. They all don't make that big a difference depending on which one you buy. Even budget ones have perfectly decent cameras. No one buys their smartphone camera based on the photo. So for me, it comes down to telephoto, because I can zoom in and lose less quality. On things that happens all the time to me. It kills me how many people were in favor of having ultra wides over telephotos. It's like, this birds, you want to zoom in on them, but you don't want to scare them away. You're at a concert, you're at your kid's play or something, you want to zoom in. People are zooming in all the time. Photographers are always using telephotos. Photographers use way more zoom in lens than they do ultra wides because ultra wide lenses aren't as useful. Yes, you can fit more things into a picture, but there's something called panorama. You know what? We're at the end of our hour. I'm going to show you something. I was trying to explain to people that, like, if you can't fit a picture or a room or a kitchen in the photograph, just take a panorama. It's not that complicated. Like, it doesn't take very long. Like, we recently rearranged our gaming room in the back, right? So we have our 3 desks and the TV right there. And I was like, see, look, we rearranged the gaming room. Oh no, I can't fit the whole gaming room in the picture. Darn. Allow me to take a panorama picture. Oh, look, you can see it wall to wall now. Now you can see everything. Oh my God, ultra wide. It's so helpful. I don't need an ultra wide lens because the standard lens on most smartphone cameras are already pretty wide. So panorama mode, when you want to fit more stuff in, when you want to zoom in, have a telephoto. It's so simple. I mean, like, I don't get why so many people defended that. On top of that, when people are like, no, ultra wide, you can fit more in. I take pictures of buildings all the time. That's more useful. It's like, step away from the building. There's so many instances in which you can step away from something. I think there's plenty of instances in which you can't get closer. You're going to scare the animal. There's a fence there. It's like, it's over there. I can't get closer to it. That seems so much more common to me than just back up or take a panorama. There's 2 options for ultra wides. You can always zoom in, can't in ultra wide. Really? I don't even know. Well, like, thank you, James. Anyway, Chad Watson says, will you please consider taking a look at Louis Rossman's The Truth About Apple Products? Please need a response, too much misinformation. You know, if views get pretty low, perhaps we'll do another reaction video because I know these do super well. But yeah, I've watched so many videos. The truth about Apple, what Apple doesn't. If Apple were honest with it, there's so many of those videos on YouTube. They all say the same thing. It only costs $300 to make an iPhone 10, and they charge $1,000. That's why they suck. You can't replace the iMac parts because they want money. Apple wants money? What company would want money? How dare they say that? Like, it's just, they're all the same, and it gets so redundant to me that I feel like when I'm doing the reaction videos, I'm just saying the same thing over again. So I'm just like, if we can make videos without reactions, that'd be great, because I know a lot of the audience doesn't like reaction videos. I don't really like them either, because usually I'm just reacting to someone who clearly doesn't know what they're talking about. Like with the No BS channel, he's like, the MacBook Pro removed the headphone jack. It's like, look at the other side, dude. That would take one Google search. Does the new MacBook Pro have a headphone jack? Yes. You have to buy $800 worth of adapters. Buy one that has everything on it. It's like, I feel like I'm talking to a child. I feel like I'm talking to an 8-year-old who doesn't like Apple because it costs too much. It's like complaining that Ferraris are stupid because they're expensive. It's like, that's the point, you know, like that doesn't make it bad. It just makes it better, you know, like whatever. Anyway, Krista White looks like the final super chatter of the evening, if anyone's interested in doing the super chat war. But thank you, Krista White, for your support. And I also wanted to remind people before you leave, if you have an Amazon Prime account, please consider checking out our Twitch page, Tailosive Gaming. We just launched our Twitch. We're an affiliate now. You can subscribe with Twitch Prime and give us free money. Costs you nothing. No extra charge. Supports us, really makes a difference. And we're going to be streaming on Twitch a lot more regularly. And we figured out how to get the game to run smoothly now. Won't have any problems now. Even when you donate bits, when you donate or subscribe with Twitch Prime, actually maybe don't do it just yet. Wait till the live stream. That way you can see all the cool animations we've made specifically for Twitch. So when you donate on Twitch, like if you Twitch Prime, like the iMessage React messages pop up. If you donate with bits, then the Touch ID animation with Apple Pay and the sound will play. Face ID, if you donate 500 bits, the AirPower sound effect. Like there's all this great stuff when you donate on our Twitch. Tailosive Gaming on Twitch. So please check it out. Try Nary says, do you know any good iPhone 8 or 10 deals? Not specifically, but if you look on eBay or Facebook, I'm sure you'll find Goodwin. Ethan is the last super chatter of the live stream who says, why leaving so soon? I've been streaming for an hour, 4 minutes. This is standard. This is how long we stream. But if you want more interaction, keep in mind that on our Twitch at Tailosive Gaming, we talk about technology all the time. It's a much smaller audience. There's much less people watching on Tailosive Gaming on our Twitch page. So you're more likely to get your comment read. You have Amazon Prime. You can support us directly. So I would appreciate it very much. If you didn't get your question answered, please check out our Twitch page, Tailosive Gaming. We're working on it a lot. You're getting lots of cool sounds when you donate bits. You can get bits for free by watching ads. Lucas is the final super chatter of today. Thank you, Lucas Van Hoosen, for being the final super chatter. Anyway, I'm going to get now back to work on our next iPhone video, which is about how there's like 5-6 different iPhones coming out this year. It's going to be crazy. This is your Apple Sheep here. Nope, it's Ethan. Have a great night. Best of luck to the Tailosive Network. Thank you, Ethan. I appreciate it very much. So I guess Ethan Gutterman. Is for you. So this is your Apple Sheep here, and I will see you in the next one. Have a great night. And